Welcome back to All About Money. We have with us today Rachel Lau Freeman, who set up a boutique travel agency in Portugal with her husband that also arranges for clients to apply for Portugal's investment residency. Now, Rachel, your agent helps people get the visa, right? But you're still in process of getting your own. So how do you know the way to success? What are you doing for people?
Yeah, it's actually a relatively long and complicated process. That's why we decided we better to be there to oversee the whole process ourselves. And also over the years, we built a network of local professionals that we can trust, including lawyers, real estate agents, accountant, architect, and bankers. So with their assistance, we will hopefully make the process smooth for ourselves and our clients.
Yeah, but why would people go to you who hasn't completed your own process versus go to an agency established? What more can you actually give people in that regard?
Because we are going through the process ourselves, so we know how to do it, and also we know like the hiccups and the things and expectations. So actually we can offer more assistance emotional-wise, to help them like more hand-holding. The agencies can give you the fact, but they can like tell you and prep you emotionally.
Right. Yeah, of course, I imagine it must be, that kind of back and forth with the different sorts of bureaucracy. Tell us a bit about the bureaucracy side of things, actually. How much of a headache is it compared with, say, Hong Kong or the US or somewhere else that you've been through paperwork with?
Yeah, Hong Kong, we're used to be like everything's fast, efficient, online or phone call, and then it's done. But in European countries and also Portugal, it requires longer process, and it involves more departments and more paperwork. But the government is like starting to change because they realize that they have to be like up to the level,
right.
And that's why they're like employing more people in the immigration department to help like faster, and then also they have something that's process can be done online now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So they're actually moving towards being more online.
More efficient and more like user friendly.
Right, and how are their websites? Are they slightly better than the Hong Kong websites? Because, my lord, some of them are difficult to navigate, I won't lie.
It's not so bad. Like, they have English, so it's good.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
I'll check it out sometime. Now, let's move on from the issue of golden visas and talk about your actual travel agency.
Yeah.
So you cover more the bespoke sort of travel market. What can you offer with your agency that other big agencies don't?
Well, because we're a small startup and we focus on personalized tours. So anything the clients want, we'll do our best to make it happen. So to make sure that they have 100% what they want on their vacations. Like, for example, we had a client who is religious, and that's why we organized a lunch in the rural area in a vineyard, and also local priests to bless her icons.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's 100% tailor-made. And also we have clients who loved cars, and we organize them a tour and just tour around the river in Porto in a Beetle, like take some nice pictures, and it's good memory.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So does that mean that part of your job, because you need to know about these interesting places to be able to tailor it to your clients, does that mean that part of your job involves traveling to all kinds of amazing places?
Yeah, part of the perks.
That sounds pretty good. That's a very clever startup, I must say. So give us a taster of what kind of a day tour would be if I wanted to check out. Which city would you recommend I go, say, next week, so in January, late Jan?
Then I need to do an interview with you because our service is pretty much tailor-made. So before we do a little like questionnaire with our clients to find out what they like and what they prefer, and then we start to tailor-make from there. So it includes maybe like a vineyard picnic or some like kind of very niche like grape stomping in a small vineyard that's completely non-touristy.
Right, I see. That sounds interesting. So how long does that process take though for such customization?
We've been there for a year and a half-ish, and we started to build our network there. And because my husband, he's like super friendly, and so are the Portuguese, so they get along. And that's why he found quite a lot of like niche, relatively unknown things and places. And then we just like started discussion and the relationship there.
Nice. That's very handy to have someone who can just make connections like that.
Yeah.
It's always handy. So your target market, is it Hong Kongers? You're from Hong Kong, right?
Yes, I am.
Why do you think Portugal has a draw for Hong Kongers?
Well, I think Hong Kongers, they love new things, right? So actually, Portugal is relatively out of their radar. It's just popped up like recently. So I think with good food, good weather, like nice culture, beautiful scenery, so they're gonna love it.
Right. It does sound awesome. So you also, as a Hong Konger, understand Hong Kongers' obsession for exciting foods and drinks and things like that. And so you guys have now branched out your business to include a specialty exports department, I believe. What does that entail? What do you export exactly?
Actually, like I said, my husband's very good at like making local connections. So he found different providers that they make artisanal liqueur and wine and beer. So one of our star products is actually a monk liqueur that the the monks made it in the monastery. Is a over 100 years old recipe, and they kept it secret.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's very limited. They just produce like 8,000 bottles per year, and it's never been exported before. So.
And so your husband is so good at forming connections that he managed to convince these monks to send them to Hong Kong?
Yeah.
Or is it elsewhere as well, apart from Hong Kong?
They have it in local Portugal, maybe a small amount in the EU countries, but never in Hong Kong, because the monks it's just their side thing.
Right.
Like the thing they do is to serve the god. So this is just like, well, don't bother us in Christmas time, or like we're busy praying. So, and it was like, yeah, we respect that, but your product is so good, it has to be shared. And they agreed.
Nice. So next time I go to Portugal, where is this monastery in Portugal?
A little bit north in Porto.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds super cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you actually are from Hong Kong, but you don't actually have a travel background, and neither does your husband, right? Not in the travel industry. So how did you guys end up setting up a travel agency in Portugal?
Well, actually, we love travel, and somehow we just don't know why we're quite good at like finding local connections and unique experiences. And when we arrived in Portugal, we realized that there are not a lot of Asian tourists and like Hong Kong people. So we see an opportunity there. We see there is a potential market. So that's why we started this.
Right, I see. And do you think that has been a successful business, like bringing in like that? So you're saying that there's a niche market there, there's a gap basically that you can fill. Have you been managing to fill that gap so far?
We're trying, because actually we see quite a few Koreans there. And not a lot of...
Oh, actually, I do remember seeing menus with Korean in them in Portugal. You're right, there were a lot of Koreans.
Yeah, because they had a Korean TV program that were on occasion there. That's why it's very popular among the Koreans. Yeah, but not a lot of Japanese, Taiwanese, Hong Kong, or mainland Chinese. So definitely still room for development.
Interesting. So in terms of setting up a business in Portugal, how difficult was it for you guys to start a travel agency there?
Like documentation-wise, it's not that hard. It's quite efficient and straightforward, the process. It's just the culture of like how they operate, it's very different. And, in Hong Kong, you can like WhatsApp, you email, you make a phone call, you don't have to show up, and usually you get response like within hours, right? But in Portugal, it's a complete different story. They like to see you in person. They like to discuss over coffee. So it's, it's a very, very different environment, different vibe.
That's interesting. Well, coffee always helps, I imagine.
Or wine.
Or wine, yes. In Portugal, certainly as well. Plenty of port for you to discuss business over.
Exactly.
But in terms of like working with the government, for example, surely, you're not having wines with the government to set up your paperwork. How is that in terms of that level of bureaucracy?
Well, you have to be very careful. And if
Careful in what way?
Careful because there are they are in Portuguese, the rules and regulations, especially like legal documents. So it's better, or I recommend it highly, that you have a lawyer to handle that kind of legal things for you.
Right, I see. Now, so you ended up moving there with your husband just because it was just so nice, or was it because you saw the business opportunity that you decided to do it, or was it the other way around, that you went there and then looked for business opportunity?
Well, yes and no. Well, the story is my husband, before we moved from Hong Kong to Portugal, my husband been working in different Asian countries on contract basis. And we're looking for a place where we can settle together. And then after considering different countries, we think Portugal is the best because of this Golden Visa program and nice weather and the long-term climate issues. So we decided to move there. And then we get into the local scene, and then we saw this chance, and then we're just like, let's do it.
Right, and how different is, quickly before we go, how different is it living there versus traveling?
Oh, it's completely different. Yeah,
good way or bad way?
Both good and bad, because like traveling, you're just there for vacation, so you get the best of it. You experience the best. You're like, oh, everything is so nice, so pretty. Oh, so awesome, But when you live there, it gets real. The reality hits. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but sure, you're going to experience a culture shock.
Right. Well, I would love to chat more about culture shock with you, but we'll have to wait next time. Thank you so much, Rachel, for coming up. And that was Rachel Lau Freeman. And with that, we wrap up this edition of All About Money. We'll be back with more next week here on HKIBC. We'll see you then. Thanks.